Do I regret deciding to relocate in Zimbabwe and to retire back in Zimbabwe? That's the question we're going to be tackling in today's video. But before we do that, there's a few things we need to talk about first. Let's talk about social media. I remember when I first started documenting my journey back to Zimbabwe, I was met with a lot of negativity. People accused me of being sponsored to do my videos. I even made a video with Wadimaya, I remember, where I had to address this idea of Wadimaya was paid. But today, we are starting to see the same social media now on a trend of promoting Zimbabwe. In fact, it's even gone so extreme that it's promoting rural life. So think about it. From being extremely political and hating Zimbabwe to now talking about, oh, even rural life is fantastic and rural tourism and so on and so forth. What happened in these 3 years? Now, if you're someone who wants to make a decision, I'm not saying follow me. If you're someone who wants to make a decision, you need to make a well-informed decision. Don't make a decision based on what you're seeing on social media, because not everyone out there has the best interests in Zimbabweans or in you personally. Why am I saying this? You know, when I started creating these videos, I speak to a lot of people behind the scenes. I remember again, I made a video about mortgages, and that video is one of the most popular videos on my channel. And in that, you found that a lot of people were saying things so negative about my decision of not taking a mortgage, to a point where there were also insults. I had to do a second video to address and say, I'm not telling anyone not to take a mortgage. You can do whatever you want. I'm just talking about my position and what I've decided to do with my money. But it was a very sensitive topic. But behind the scenes, a lot of people also then say, you know what? I made a very bad decision by taking on this mortgage. So I take time to listen and discuss this. And most of the time you hear people saying, I got my mortgage in my late 30s. And that means I have to work until I'm 70. And there's also other debt. And this is stopping these people from making decisions like relocating or investing back home. Now, I'm not saying that this is the case for every single person. I'm talking about the people that I've discussed with behind the scenes. So one way or another, it could be also that it was a trend. I remember when I was in Luton, and a lot of people were taking these mortgages. A lot of people took these mortgages. And this was the time where there was that crash where a lot of the people lost their houses and so on and so forth. I remember at the time that these mortgages were highly priced. I think in some instances, people were paying like 1,500. This is back then, 1,500, 2,000 for these mortgages. And they got these mortgages, behind the back door, because I think these banks were incentivized to sell as many as possible. But a lot of people, yes, did go for it because it was a trend amongst the Zimbabweans. Because remember, and I've mentioned this before, the Zimbabwe community, whether it's back home or here in the diaspora, it's all about trends. And if you're not careful, if you fall on these trends, you are going to regret it. This is why I started off by saying you need to make well-informed decisions. Be there on the ground, test the waters, see if you like it. Don't do it because Ruwa Organic said so. Don't do it because such and such has said so. Because a lot of Zimbabweans will tell you that they can do something and they know how to do this. And this is what's working. They'll tell you that. This is, you know what? Zihuta. You can make a lot of money with it. Recently, I made a video about road runners. Road runners, you can make a lot of money. I went through phone calls, talking to experts, doing all the numbers. It made a lot of sense on paper, but I was there on the ground. I purchased the incubator. I did those chickens, and it doesn't make any business sense. But it was a trend going on, and I was convinced that this will work, and I went for it. So the question now is, so what do you do? How do you know what works and what doesn't? Well, this is what I'm saying. If you want to go into anything, you have to sit down with experts, crunch the numbers, and get a team behind it. Of course, this is the case where you want to make it as a business. But if you follow these trends, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck. Right now, there is a push about retiring back in Zimbabwe. And some people are under pressure now to want to do that. Whereas before it was pressure for getting a mortgage. Now it's retiring back home. Again, that's like another trend. All right. There was also a trend. Zimbabwe is bad. Now, all of a sudden, Zimbabwe is good. Even institutes like Forbes are now saying Zimbabwe is the best destination. What changed? What happened? What changed for Zimbabwe now to be the best destination? The grand tour, they come to Zimbabwe, they tour around Zimbabwe, and a lot of positive comments are being said about Zimbabwe. What happened? What changed? So, in all of this, in my opinion, doing a relocation is not easy. It's not easy. And it costs you a lot of money. Why? Because in our heads, we have this thing where we think the Zimbabwe that we left 25 years ago, 24 years ago is the same Zimbabwe. No, almost a generation has gone through that gap. So in our heads, including me, when I went there, I thought in my head things were going to be easy. And I see people in my comments, and I can tell from the comments that there are people there that are part of the problem in Zimbabwe on the ground. Because these are the people who are trying to make it seem like things are, function okay. But the reality is, no, it's not. And I'm speaking from experience, from the workers. You go home with a lot of money thinking, oh, I'm going to get this built, I'm going to get that built, I'm going to get this built, and it's going to be easy. No, it's not, because it's very easy to get scammed. You don't even know the language on the ground. You don't even know how people are moving on the ground. You think because you're coming from the diaspora, you know exactly what's happening. No, don't lie to yourself. So you're going to lose a lot of money if you're not careful. And the reason why I do these videos, I do them because I want you to keep an eye on this, okay? Don't be blindsided, because I'm sharing what I've gone through. But of course, in the comments, there are a lot of people now who try to push a different narrative, right? And this is where I say that not all people want good for you. Not all people want good for you. They want you to suffer with them. They don't want you to get that freedom that you want. So experience these things yourself. Go on the ground yourself and make an informed decision. Don't do it based on people who are making all these comments. When I used to go through Twitter, I stopped using Twitter because I just felt like it was just a waste of time. It's just a bunch of people shouting. When I was on Twitter, there are people that are anti-Zimbabwe, but they're speaking like that in the country. Can you imagine? I can understand if you're anti-Zimbabwe and you're in the diaspora, and then you stand by what you're saying. I can understand that. But to be so anti-Zimbabwe while you're in Zimbabwe, I can't even. I can't even find the words to explain that. So I quickly realized that if I were to follow that narrative that's being pushed on the ground, there is no way I'm going to do anything in my life. And that is why I had to go on the ground. And right now I am happy that I've gone through the experience that I went through. I know for some of you, you want to feel sorry for me. Don't feel sorry for me, right? It's a decision that I made, and I've learned a lot through this, a lot. And I'm actually happy that I've learned a lot. So all I'm doing in my video is to give back to those that haven't gone on the ground yet. At least if you watch and see my footsteps, there's nothing I share that is untrue. I'm just sharing my story. And the other thing as well is I realized that people have different levels of income. And in me saying that, there was a comment of someone who left a comment and said, you are telling us that you've lost a lot of money, yet now you've bought cameras again. Where are you getting all this money? You must be funded by some external people. I'm unsubscribing. So at first when I saw that message, I was very concerned, and I was thinking, okay, why so bitter? And then again, I realized that, yes, I may be doing all this, documenting all this, but not everyone can do what I'm doing. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is not to say I'm better than everyone or I'm better than anyone, but it's to say that if you decide to relocate, do it on your own terms based on your own income. Because if you copy what Jack, Jane, and Simba are doing, you don't know how much they're earning. You don't know how much they've saved over the years. And you don't know how much they are getting on a daily basis. Because personally, I choose not to share that information. Do you know why? Because I know that once I start saying I get X amount of money, I got this amount of money and that amount of money, I'm just attracting negativity, envy, and jealousy. And that information, to be honest, is not even beneficial for you. In my opinion, what is beneficial is for you to know where my pitfalls are, my shortfalls are, and then you can keep an eye on that when you decide to do something similar. So that's why I do these videos. So some people take it the wrong way and think that, okay, because I've done this, I've failed in my life because Ruwa Organic is not working. No. There is a lot that is working for me very well behind the scenes. But Ruwa Organic is my test project, and this is something that I am going to run in my retirement. If it makes me a bit of money, then so be it. But I'm not overly emotional about it to a point where all my eggs are in Ruwa Organic. No, that's not the case. So as you're watching these videos on social media, be mindful that some of the comments, they are not to motivate you. They are just meant to make you feel like you're not even going anywhere and everything's a dead end. So just be careful, because social media has a positive and a negative to it. One moment you'll hear someone saying this is so bad. Next moment, that's a very same person is singing a different tune. And here you are now, you're there confused. Oh, but he used to say this, but why is he saying this now? Do you see what I mean? So it is very, very important that you decide what you need to do. So back to this issue of the different levels of income. This is why throughout my whole ordeal, I realized that not everyone can just go in and just throw 10 grand at a project to see how it goes, or throw another 5 grand here to see how it goes. No, people have different levels of savings and different levels of income. So one of the it was during one of these live shows that I was doing on Ruwa Organic, where this young man, Malachi, I call him Captain because he's a pilot, he suggested creating this vehicle now we call commercial investors, a vehicle where people can invest back home in a secure and transparent way. And at first it was an idea which I thought was too far-fetched and ridiculous, because I know the mentality of a lot of Zimbabweans, very negative, and they don't want to work together. And this is how I've always viewed us Zimbabweans. But to my surprise, I guess maybe it's the quality of people that are on Ruwa Organic. I was surprised that it was met with a lot of positivity and a lot of positive energy. And it was very exciting. I was very skeptical to begin with, but now, because of how people have come through and they really want to be a part of this and support it, I was very, very surprised. And that has changed my mind towards Zimbabweans in general. Now I believe that there's a group of Zimbabweans out there who are on the same wavelength as me, who are positive and want to build things that are positive. And I'm very excited about that. So if you want to be a part of these investors who want to invest back home, and the beauty about commercial investors is we're going to have different investment opportunities at different price points. But the most important thing here is, and I'm sure a lot of people have realized that diaspora is not really for everyone. So this is the opportunity to get unstuck. So the question now is, do I regret? Do I regret? The quickest answer is no, I don't regret relocating and investing back home. Not at all. Have I been frustrated? Yes. Have I been disappointed? Yes. But not enough for me to regret investing back home and deciding to retire back home. In fact, I am even more excited with the idea of retiring back home. If I was on 90%, I'm over 100% now. That is how exciting it is. Yes, it was a very expensive learning curve, but the positive outweigh the negative, for sure, for sure. Because for me personally, what do I have here close to retirement? Nothing, really. At the end of it, what, retirement in the nursing home? Really? No. That to me doesn't work. It doesn't work. I've thought about it over and over again, and that doesn't work. I feel more alive when I am back in Zimbabwe. Yes, it's tough, but I love it there. The weather, and also I like organic food. I grow my own stuff, and that in itself is motivation enough for me to even put more back into Zimbabwe. So all in all, I do not regret this a bit. But if you are one of those people that want to retire and relocate back in Zimbabwe, just be careful with your money. I know how difficult it is to save money and then get scammed easily. A lot of people in Zimbabwe will tell you they can do anything, and then they'll start learning on the job. No one says no to anything unless you meet genuine people. So just bear that in mind as you are making your decisions. So I thought I'll just make this video just to let you know that I am not regretting at all. I'm here still in the diaspora, in the UK to be more specific, because there's a few things that through my experience I know need to be in place before I go back. For example, Kumusha Investors. This is a UK based company, and this company needs all its paperwork, it needs all the legal stuff done before I go to Zimbabwe on the ground. So if you hear people saying, oh, he's run away from Zimbabwe because it was hard for him and all of that, no, those people don't know me. They just see me on the YouTube and they think they really know what's happening. So Kumusha Investors is one of the reasons. I need to make sure that all the documents are there, and all you investors or anyone who is invested in Kumusha Investors, they need to be happy that everything's in place, the committee is in place before I go. The second thing is, when I moved back as a returning resident, the car that I decided to take home was not a very good car. It's a Discovery 3, keeps breaking down. So right now I'm buying all the parts that I need for that car to go back on the road and then sell it. If I can buy a car before I go back to Zim, that's even a bonus, because this time I'm going for a Toyota Hilux. No messing around. Toyota all the way. You know, I've been advised by a lot of people as well. So I'll sell the Discovery after I put all the new stuff, all the new things on it. So I'll put in, the new suspension, the air suspension. I'm going to buy the whole kits. I'm going to buy new brakes and brake pads. I might even buy the tires, and the prop shaft is gone as well. I'm going to buy a brand new prop shaft. So it's going to have everything for the car to go back on the road. It's a manual car as well. Very fun to drive. But for what I do, it doesn't work. If I had two cars, yeah, I'd probably keep it, and that can become my second car. But for what I do with the farm and traveling around, and of course with this Kumusha Investors coming, I'll be traveling to all sorts of places in the country. I'm going to need a solid car. So those two main things are the things that are delaying me from going back to Zimbabwe. But overall, Zimbabwe all the way. No doubt about that. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope this video has cleared quite a lot of things. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.